Michael LePorte back with you on the Rural Radio Network, reporting from the Cattle Industry Convention going on in San Antonio with me, Shalene McNeill, Executive Director of Human Nutrition with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And I know that we've got things that we're talking about, dietary guidelines, probably, one of the biggies.
That's right.
Let's get the update.
Sure. Well, the 2015 dietary guidelines is meeting right now to make those recommendations about what it takes to really build a healthy diet in America today. And we want to make sure that as this committee is meeting and these recommendations are being made, that they have all of the scientific evidence that the checkoff has supported to really show the benefits of beef throughout the life cycle. And we have some really good findings. We know that the nutrients in beef are important for infants and babies and children because of the zinc and the iron that babies need to grow, all the way to the other end of the life stage where we want to protect our muscles as we age. And the high quality protein in beef really can help do that. So we've got great science to support the role of beef in health, and we're sharing that evidence with the dietary guidelines.
Now, I know that some of the fear had been that these dietary guidelines were going to be not so friendly for red meat. Is that still kind of what you're hearing out there?
Well, I think one of the challenges that we've seen with dietary guidelines in the past is we faced 3 decades of recommendations kind of to restrict beef intake. And we know that if we look at over time what's happened since we've had dietary guidelines and people have cut back their beef intake, obesity has risen in its rates. So we have more overweight people at the same time period that we've been cutting back on our beef intake. So we actually have really good science to support the fact that including more beef, more protein into your diet throughout the day can be beneficial with helping us manage our weight. And it's that kind of research that we want to make sure that when nutrition recommendations like the dietary guidelines are being formed, that they're considering this important research.
Now, I think one of the other issues that I've heard some talking about is not only are we talking about the nutritional value, but we're talking about things like sustainability when it comes to the determining how we ought to approach this. How does that change the debate?
Well, one of the new discussions and one of the discussions that the dietary guidelines started having is let's not only make a diet that's healthy for humans, let's also make a recommendation for a diet that's healthy for the planet. And that research on sustainability as it relates to healthy diets is really in its infancy. There's no comparison to the kinds of quality of evidence that we know about nutrition and diet and health. So using sustainability to make nutrition recommendations about health would be like going back to nutrition research from the 1920s or the 1900s. It's just too early to use that kind of science to make guidelines for health.
Now, one of the things that I think that we've seen out there in the marketplace is that even with the high price of beef, with the demand has stayed high. And so, people are saying, we're going to remain to have beef in the diet no matter what the cost.
People love beef. It's a great tasting protein. And what we're seeing, and I'm a registered dietitian, I certainly see this with people I work with, is that people are looking to include more protein into their diet and the value that protein plays on their plate. And we know that beef is one of the most nutritious proteins, the iron, the zinc, the B vitamins, the high quality protein that it delivers. And it has a great value in people's diet, and they're willing to pay for that.
All right, the kind of things then that are on the agenda that you're working on, maybe that we haven't heard yet, but 6 months from now, what's in the pipeline that you guys are working on?
Well, they say in the industry is if it's not one thing, it's another. So we are definitely always working to support the role that beef plays in health. People want to eat healthier today, and we want to make sure that they know that there's evidence to support reasons to enjoy beef as part of their healthy diet. And it's not just the dietary guidelines. I mean, there's issues on the horizon that will have to be addressed, like committees that want to look at red meat for cancer-causing compounds. I mean, the checkoff has done a lot of work in this area. We have a huge pipeline of research that shows the evidence does not support this association, that, not a single food doesn't cause or prevent cancer. And so we've got very good evidence that red meat is not associated with an increased risk for cancer, yet we still see these kinds of committees being met. And we've got to provide evidence and participate in that, and we're working really hard on that. I think those are the things on the horizon. But the positive thing that's coming out is I think we're seeing a paradigm shift in nutrition. More people are wanting to experiment with lower carbohydrate, higher protein diets. They're challenging that saturated fat hypothesis. And we're providing research that really is making a compelling case that there are a lot of ways to build a healthy diet today, and people are wanting to experiment and try those out, and they have beef in them.
Well, I know you guys always do a good job of, getting this information out and keeping it in front of the public and in the various forms, social media, etc. Where should we go for more information about what you guys are working on? I know recipes always are a big deal.
Check out beefitswhatsfordinner.com. There's great recipes that show how to cook beef all different kinds of ways, lots of nutrient-rich recipes, and you'll see all kinds of examples of how we're communicating with the consumer, too, about today's beef.
All right, getting the update on what's happening here at the Cattle Industry Convention going on in San Antonio. With me, Shalene McNeill, Executive Director of Human Nutrition with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. From the meeting for the Rural Radio Network, I'm Michael LePorte.